So you are considering moving to the Phoenix area, the center of the earth, like where the devil spawns itself because it's like 110,000 degrees. No, it's not that hot. But there are a lot of questions about when you moved to Arizona, what's it like? And they're not commonly addressed in any YouTube videos. So I'm going to cover the top 10 unusual questions that you're probably asking yourself, just no one's addressing it. So we'll start with, how exactly do we survive when it's 115 or hotter? Look, there are certain times of the year that we just don't leave the air conditioning. Now, does that mean we don't leave our house? No, it just means that we take different precautions. So for instance, I wake up early, walk my dog when it's below 90 degrees. So that's going to be probably before 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, which really isn't that early. You know, some people say you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I promise you, I am not a 5 a.m. girl. But typically we do a short walk right around 8 o'clock in the morning. I stand on the pavement with my bare feet to make sure that I can tolerate it. And then we just go straight to the park. And then the park is all grass and the pup has a great time. And yes, I do bring a little bag and I have water and a little water bowl so that we have a fun time in the morning. For other type of activities, like for instance, grocery shopping, no, I don't have to bring a cooler with me because I do plan, like in my head, where am I going first? Am I going to go to Home Depot? But then I need to go to Costco. I need to fill my tank. If I go to Costco, am I going to pick up that roast that they have for sale? You know what? I think what I'll do is I'll get gas first and then I'll go inside so that the food doesn't get spoiled.
I'm so smart.
You just got to plan your day. Here's another thing. When I do go shopping, like for the mall, that's when the indoor malls are still some of my favorite, but really, who goes to the mall? There are outdoor misting systems with all the amazing new outdoor shopping centers. But here's the thing, guys, even though I do try and take advantage of the smaller crowds because I can make my own hours, I work late at night and maybe early in the morning, not. I actually still have no problem with this heat. You just aren't going to be doing landscaping at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No, we have landscapers, which, by the way, are only $50 a visit. So in the summertime, when things don't grow super fast, that's only $100 a month. How about washing your car? No, we don't wash our own cars, not only from a water perspective, because you want to use reclaimed water. I have a membership that I actually can go drive through or have them drive it through as many times as I want in a month. And it's worth it because we do have boobs.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
We'll talk about that in a minute. Needless to say, if I'm looking for several hours of enjoyment, I'm going to be going to a play, symphony, theater. I'm going to be going inside of a restaurant. I'm going to be going inside of an office. You don't do things outside. That's just all it means this time of year. If I do want to do something outside, and I do, I hit the Salt River. That's only 30 minutes from where I live. And there's also other large bodies of water if you are a water lover. So if you have a boat, there's several different lakes in the greater Phoenix area. The most notorious one is going to be Lake Pleasant in the northwest part of the valley, but also I love hitting Saguaro and Canyon Lake that's in the southeast part of the valley. Kinda, it's more like east side though. But if boating is your thing, water skiing, jet skiing, and mine is paddleboarding, there's a lot of bodies of water that you can enjoy. Or you hit the Beeline, that's actually a name of a road, or 87, you can go either way, and you can go up to the beautiful mountains. Within an hour, the temperature has dropped by almost 20 degrees. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of things you do to get out of the heat. Number 2, this is an assumption that everybody has a heater on their swimming pool and that everybody goes swimming in December, which when you live here, I promise you, you're not going to go swimming in December.
Yeah, I'm confused too. We're confused.
I know that sounds crazy because if you're coming here from like Wisconsin or even the Northwest where it's cold and rainy, you're thinking a warm summer. Well, if you're coming here for vacation, or maybe you just have a winter home here, yeah, you're probably going to want a heater on your pool. If you don't have a heater, you can add them for about $6,000 or $7,000. They're super easy to add in after the fact. And it will make your pool more regulated, because I'll be honest with you, you just don't want to have a heated pool on a constant basis. It costs a lot of money. These are going to all be gas heaters. Do they have electric heaters for pool? I suppose they do. I have a gas heater on mine. I know. And the reason I can say no one heats their pool when they live here full time is because I have the ability to heat a pool, but I just don't go swimming. Now my dog does. My dog uses my pool year round. And so be careful if you're moving here and you're thinking you have to have a pool and you have to have green grass. Let me tell you, when you get older and you're not like sitting in your own backyard by yourself, how often are you really going to use the pool? Now, if you're a couple and you really enjoy doing that in the evenings together, that makes sense. But solo, you're not going to really want a pool. Definitely a conversation that we can have. There is all kinds of communities that have amazing pools with adult pools or over 21 areas. And there's also resorts. Like if you're really looking to be pampered by a pool, there's resort passes that you can enjoy, or you can just do staycations. I'm telling you, the amount of money you're going to spend to maintain a pool and keep up on it and update it, because the pool doesn't last forever. Pool equipment doesn't last forever. There's going to be thousands of dollars at some point you're going to be reinvesting. That's actually a nice pool pass. For every summer, you can go to all kinds of pools. Like I said, you'd be waited on hand and foot, pampered. Now that's my kind of pool day. But to answer your question, no, not every pool here has a heater, and no, Arizonans, full-time Arizonans do not swim in the winter months.
What a bummer.
Number 3, what's the weather really like? Not just the hot part. Like, is it windy? I was like, oh, that's a good question, because depending on where you're coming from, that might be like a make or break. We did receive a phone call from someone that lives in Southern California, and they said that wherever they live is so windy that they can't fly their flags of choice without the wind just beating up that flag. And so they can't fly their flags. I remember when I went to Dallas and I could not believe not only how windy it was, like craziness, like my hair, forget it. But it was like, what is that? That's the dirt and the grit in the teeth. So to answer your question that asked us that question from California, no, it's not very windy here at all. When we see the wind, this is what we say. There must be a storm coming in.
A storm is coming.
Because it's so rare that we get a lot of wind. Up north, meaning up northern Arizona, like Flagstaff and Kaibab County and White Mountains, yes, Taylor, Arizona, it gets really, really windy up there. But in the Phoenix area, that's actually a detriment to us. That's why our pollution just kind of sits. We're in a valley, which is nice because we're surrounded by mountains, but without wind and we're surrounded by mountains, guess what the pollution does? It just sits. It's not very windy, to answer your question. Also, questions we get are the haboobs. Like, are the haboobs just like absolutely so crazy? First of all, I moved here 26 years ago. Nobody started calling it a haboob until about it. Well, it seems like 5 years, but it's probably been 10 years. That's not a real thing up until we made it up. Somebody made it up. I don't know, probably the news.
Prince Haboobi.
Habibu.
Point is, it is a massive windstorm, and it starts way out in the desert, and it picks up the dirt, and the dirt comes into the greater Phoenix area like a wall. It really is a brown wall. And we have had some incredible haboobs. That just sounds funny saying. It's a very habooby day. That's what we say when it does hit. But it's really not. When we get rainstorms, that's not haboobs. Haboobs are the dirt. And let me tell you, I was talking to someone the other day. I was out in Fountain Hills, and I'm sitting there talking. And I was like, oh, excuse me. As I'm watching this pop tent that must have been in someone's backyard, it got picked up and moved, and I saw it flying across the way. That's what happens during the haboobs, because again, there's these torrential wind and dirt and dust, and Yeah, there's sometimes furniture that winds up in your pool. That's a monsoon too, though. Monsoons. So here's the difference, guys. Monsoon is rain and thunder and lightning. Haboob is dry and dirt, brown wall. Does that make sense? And to be honest with you, when either one of them they happen so infrequently that when they happen, we're celebrating. We're enjoying it. We're sitting outside with our sippy cups and we're just sitting there talking and we're watching the beautiful lights, the light show. We're watching the beautiful, hopefully sideways rain, but unfortunately, we haven't seen a whole lot of that in a very long time. We have seen much better rain over the last few years, but the drought is by no means over in the entire southwest part of the country. It's not just Phoenix. Number 4, I get this question a lot. This is about off-road vehicles. Now, when I say off-road vehicles, there's a lot of different things. There is the off-highway vehicles that are going to be like side-by-sides, razors, banshees, rails. There's also going to be four-wheel drives. I have a four-wheel drive. People take it off and go off-roading. That's super fun, by the way. There's a lot of different types of off-road vehicles. And the question is there a lot of places to enjoy these things off the main roads? And the answer is yes. There are a ton of desert, mountain parks, national forests that you can take advantage of these vehicles and not get in trouble. So Arizona overall, I'm going to say, is very outdoor friendly. And again, don't forget, we have 300 blue skies days a year, and many of our clients that have moved here from the Northwest said, let me tell you, when you come from a gloomy area and the sun is shining, you feel compelled to go outside and do something. Now imagine that 300 days a year. Like, people don't like sitting inside with the sun shining. We have a lot of sun shining. That is not blistering hot. So we all enjoy outdoor activities. I think that's why so many people are very active. And overall, Phoenix is one of the top rated cities to be physically in shape. People that are taking care of themselves, they're very active. There's all kinds of gyms and trails and just things to do outdoors. Now, if you are the fun kind of people, I want to be your friend, first of all.
We're family now, and I got your back forever. You hear me?
And second of all, that love to drive around like the razors or the banshees, not the banshees, the razors and the rails on city streets. You do need to get a permit, and they are super easy to obtain. There's certain requirements. Obviously, you need to register your vehicle. And those, they're called OHV. Is it OHV permits? I think that's yes. OHV decal. It's a permit for $25 a year. That's no big deal. And you will be able to and then register your vehicle, and then you'll be able to drive on roads or well-maintained dirt roads as well. So yes, they do allow that, and there are some HOAs that even allow like golf carts through the communities, but I'm more of a razor kind of girl. So if you're that kind of fun person, give us a call. We definitely want to talk with you because there are certain parts of the greater Phoenix area that have more residents that kind of have that lifestyle. And if you're looking to be friends with these cool people, we'll let you know where a lot of our friends live. Number 5 is a myth that I want to squash. There's a lot of people that seem to think that a 2-story costs more money. It just costs more money because it's a 2-story. Not true.
False.
If the home is bigger, it's going to cost more than a single story. But here's the thing. The homes here are built, well, I think there's actually a lot of parts of the country where homes are just built completely different. In the Southwest, you're going to find homes built a little bit differently, definitely from the Midwest, right? We don't have brick homes. And to be honest with you, they're almost like, I don't know, they're built with wood and stucco, totally different than brick. But I would say in Arizona, Las Vegas, and parts of Southern California, there's very similar type of building. And what I mean by that is the technology for the hotter climates. So we're going to be talking about different insulation, windows, roof, etc. So for those reasons, just know that homes are built a little bit differently here. It is not necessarily less energy efficient for a 2-story than a 1-story. We have units usually, if it's a super large single story, you'll still have 2 units because you'll have one for each side of the house. If it's a 2-story, depending on the square footage, you might have 2 larger units, one for the upstairs and one for the downstairs. And with today's newer technology, not only on building the home, but the AC units that they are building, I'll tell you, a newer, and when I say new, I don't mean brand spanking new, a newer 2-story is way more efficient than a single story that's 10 or 15 years ago. That doesn't mean that you can't make your home more energy efficient, and it doesn't have to be a brand new home in order to see those numbers work. Here's my thing, guys. In fact, I'll even prove it. I'm going to pull it out right now. Hold on, editor. I'm looking for I probably should have looked this up to begin with. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. My electricity bill. Are you ready for this? Okay. I'm with SRP. Let me cover my address there. I'm with SRP. There are 2 electric companies in the greater Phoenix area. One's SRP, I should say in Maricopa County. SRP and APS. This is from June of this year. So it's July when I'm doing this video. So it's my most recent bill. Look at what that is. They only want $121 from me. It's July.
Is that for real?
But you know what? I pay $150. I just pay $150 every single month. And then at the end of the year, in October, they reassess it. Did I pay too much? And then my bill goes down and I still just pay 150. Or did I not pay enough and will adjust up? I still just pay 150. I have been paying $150 a month, but here's the thing, guys. I checked my insulation. My home, by the way, is 26 years old. I have ample insulation. I have sunscreens on my window. I also have a newer roof and I have 2 new AC units and I have beautiful shade trees around my home. So this is a 2-story and I have a pool and I have grass, which I'm a little embarrassed about, but I have grass. So that means I have timers and and this is my electric bill every single month.
I'm the king of the world!
Single story doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have less bills. I'm just saying, keep an open mind. Now, here's another thing that I get asked all the time. Do I need 20% down to buy a home? And I don't know if you heard that from your parents. My parents are really old. Now I'm the parent and my kids are hearing from me saying you don't have to have 20% down. Yes, I do know once upon a time, there is a guy named, what's his name? Oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank? What's his name? I shouldn't say Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, he has great ideas, but let me tell you what happened because people were following his direction during the real estate boom nationally, not just in Arizona, but in 2019, let's go back to 2019. 2019, Dave Ramsey is saying, don't buy a house unless you can put 20% down because you don't want to waste money on property mortgage insurance. Makes total sense to me. But here's the thing. When you give us a call, we introduce you to our wholesale mortgage lender, which a lot of consumers don't realize they have access to. And let me tell you the difference. It is over 65% lower property mortgage insurance when you use a wholesale lender. So you might call, let's just say Chase Bank, right? And let's say you're taking out a loan, I don't know, $400,000. If you don't put down 20%, which would be $80,000 in that scenario, then you're going to be charged, if you even put down 15%, now you're going to be charged property mortgage insurance. It's going to be like $200 a month.
Ouch, that hurts.
Well, who wants to waste just $200 a month? That's why people like to come up with that 20%. But while people are waiting to save that 20%, prices were going up 20% per year. So the more you couldn't save fast enough because the home prices were going up faster than you were saving. And now with the wholesale mortgage, that same scenario, instead of $200 a month, it would have been like $80 a month. Now, $80, maybe you could have afforded that $80 a month instead of $200 a month, and you would have got into a home and you would have bought a home way back. You know when the best time to buy real estate is? Always 3 to 5 years ago. Always, 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 always. Still, even today, if you had bought 3 to 5 years ago, even though during that time the market was higher at one point, it was actually a little bit lower, and now it has recovered. The point is when you look at a 20-year history, real estate has always gone up. from any time that you've bought a home. So definitely do some research by giving us a call is a good place to start. And let's talk about some of those options, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. There is grant money out there up to 3% for your down payment, up to $15,000, and you don't have to pay it back. What's the catch? Got to have good credit. So give us a call, even if it's a year or two in advance. We want to be your point person. We want to be your resource for resources. How's that? All right, let's get to the next one that you're probably dying to know. Is it really brown in Arizona? Well, some parts, yes. Yes. There are certain parts of the greater Phoenix area that are going to be, let's call them more desert-esque. But then there's also some that is just brown dirt. There's a difference. Like there's ugly desert and there's gorgeous desert. Where do I think ugly desert is? There is ugly desert, don't kill me, people, in Buckeye, but people that live in Buckeye like that because that's where a lot of the rails and off-road vehicles, and so when they're tearing it up, they don't really matter because it's just really not pretty, not at all. I'm talking about where they're actually going to be building some houses. It'll be a community called Willis that is going to be the city of the future. But they are going to start selling in the end of next year. But there's nothing out there, guys, except for ugly desert. Not kidding. If you go on their website, as a matter of fact, they show you these beautiful mountain views, but the mountains are so darn far, there's no mountain views. I'm just saying, be careful of builder websites. They're trickery. They're trickery. You got to give us a call because I'm going to tell you what it's like. And I go out there with my own cameras and I film this stuff. I'm not kidding. The prettiest desert, and you won't find any off-road vehicles there because I'm telling you, well, not to mention, it's just so lush. It's lush with desert landscape. It's beautiful saguaros, prickly pears. It is, I don't even know all the names of all the cactus, Palo Verde trees, like absolutely gorgeous. This is going to be Superstition Mountains, hands down. This is also Mesa Desert and also Apache Junction that sometimes people turn their nose up. And I'm telling you, you have not been to these areas. If you are looking for stunning, breathtaking mountain views, those are the two cities you're going to look at. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we have mountains all over our valley. We have Santan Mountain. We have, I can't even think of all of them, South Mountain. We have Estrella Mountain. We have smaller mountains, Camelback Mountain. We have we don't have White Tank Mountains. I can't even think of all of them. There are so many mountains that you could potentially have a mountain in your backyard. So if that's important to you, some of them, let's just call them a middle of the road, like desert mountain. But you know what? There's a lot to say about being next to nature, which is going to bring me to my next number. What number am I on, guys? 8. Is the wildlife really crazy? Well, it depends on where you live. I just mentioned that there's, mountains that can be really super nearby. Now, here's the thing. If you have a little tiny dog, in my scenarios, I always call them Foofy. If you have a little Foofy or a little Fifi, you're not going to probably have a dog door anyways. They can barely open that little gate door themselves. But when you take them for a walk, you're going to literally be keeping them on a short leash because not only do we have wild animals like coyotes and snakes and things like that, but we also have a lot of birds of prey. So we have falcons, we have turkey vultures, we have eagles, we have hawks, and that is equally a challenge. If you have a cat that be careful of your outdoor cats in some of these areas for sure. We also have heard of rabbits that have gotten out and haven't made it. So again, that's more so actually the flying animals. Are those animals, mammals, feathered creatures? But we also have coyotes. Now, I live 10 miles from the nearest mountain, which if you ask me, that's pretty far. I do not have scorpions. I do not have snakes, but there has been coyotes in my neighborhood, if that just kind of tells you anything. So if this is important to you, like North Scottsdale even gets some bigger, like mountain lions, like javelina. Yeah. In fact, I think I have a video of a javelina stealing a DoorDash delivery on a front door. Because things like that, you know, it's kind of funny, but it's kind of scary at the same time. But no, it doesn't happen very often. And no, you're not going to be driving down a freeway and seeing a snake. You're probably going too fast anyways. There's not a lot of roadkill either. We don't have that many wild animals running around. If you live close to the mountains, anticipate that you might have some more problems, but let us know. And if you're like afraid of spiders, yeah, they're everywhere. You're just going to want to make sure you treat your home and keep the spiders and the crickets. Oh, I found this out the other day. Let me tell you, I've been in the business 20 years and it's still, I love learning new things. I'm a sponge. So we're doing this home inspection and it had been vacant for quite some time. And there were some dead crickets. Now, the inspector says, this is a good sign. Why? Why is it a good sign? He's like, well, because the cricket body is in its entirety dead there. It just died. But if we found just cricket legs and no body, that means there's scorpions, because scorpions only eat cricket bodies. I was like, oh, well, that's the good news with the bad news. Dead crickets in the house. We'll take care of that. Make sure it gets cleaned up for them and then have a regular treatment every other month. It's super easy. It's about $65, $75 a month. And clearly this seller did not continue to do this while no one occupied the home, but it's an easy maintenance thing. And we love hearing the news that there was no scorpions. All right, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to talk politics.
Cousins, no, honey.
I'm going to talk politics because it's a big thing this year, right? What's going to happen? Who knows? But in the last election, Arizona became a purple state. A lot of that, yes, I think came from a lot of people relocating from California, but not as, I don't think that they swung our state. I think that people are just kind of being more moderate. But here's the thing, guys. When it really came push come to shove, when the world shut down from COVID, Arizona pretty much stayed open and we were pretty much a red state. And still today, we're very much, I don't want to say we're extreme red by any means, because through the COVID situation, we were very amicable towards everyone. Like we didn't have fights, problems. We just, and let me tell you, I have family in California. I still go back home and y'all still wearing masks. What that?
What's up with that? What's up with that?
If you are Republican, you're going to feel at home here in Arizona. If you are blue, you're not going to feel uncomfortable, but it's really starting to go more red. And that's my anticipation here in Arizona for 2024. Now, that remains to be seen, doesn't it? Overall, it's kind of fun driving through these neighborhoods and seeing the American flags, and they're coming out more and more as we get closer to the November vote. So just that's my assessment. And if you're looking for something really red, there are definitely, I think the more rural you get, you will see that those flags flying much stronger. And so if that's important to you, you let us know. We can't tell you as licensed realtors, but you can tell us what you're looking for, make some recommendations, and then you come to your own conclusion. Did I say that safely? Gosh, I hope so.
Be careful what you say.
We have to be careful these days, right? Number 10, and it's so important. I should not have put it at 10, but if you stayed this long, lucky you. This is a really big conversation that happens all the time, and it's solar. Why don't we see more solar panels in the greater Phoenix area? And where we do see solar, why is it more so in those areas? All right, so I'm going to uncover this as best as I possibly can. I don't sell solar and I don't have solar, but I'll tell you why. Number one, solar energy storage is still very expensive. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is solar panel acquisition in Arizona is still unregulated, and it is disastrous if you ask me. And it's so sad from a real estate perspective. It is so sad when I'm representing a buyer, hopefully you, and we go to look at a home and it has solar panels on there. And these are, first of all, leases work maybe in other states. They do not work here. The mindset of a salesperson is completely different than yours. Okay. Oh, it just makes me so mad. Can you see it? Oh, just the solar salespeople actually try to say this to you. You want to lease because at the end of 20 years, you don't want a bunch of old panels up there. They're outdated. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Let me tell you, who wants to lease something for 20 years and get zero at the end? Because in the beginning, that's when they also use this sales tactic. They say, okay, so your first year is like this teaser rate. It's only going to be $100 a year, probably, right? And then it goes up, I don't know, 4 to 5% per year. And then they sell you on this idea. But your energy bills are going to go up 8 to 10% per year. So even though your rate for a lease or even a purchase is going to go up exponentially more, so you're actually going to be saving money. And let me tell you what happens after a few years, and then that person goes to sell the home. They're still paying that $150 a month, but you also have a $200, $300 solar bill. Why? How would that make sense? I'm going to pay $200 for solar and still $100, $150 for my electricity. So no, no.
No.
And then again, lease, they're gone at the end of 20 years. Now, when does solar work? I'll tell you when solar works. Solar works when it's financed and paid for by someone else, previous owner, or somebody else pays cash for it. Those are the only, I don't want to say the only two scenarios, but here's the thing. If you are buying new or newer construction, wait until you live in that home for at least 1, if not 2 full years, because they'll tell you that your summer bill is going to be $800 a month. Lie. And they're going to tell you that the energy bills are going to be going up exponentially. And so that $800 bill, your first summer is going to go up to $900 next year. Lie. Let me tell you, I have seen these salespeople. They had this winner's circle kind of trip. They all won and they got to go on this cruise and they were all partying and they were talking about all the people they took advantage of. Yeah, it's pathetic.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
And that industry needs more regulation. So here's the thing. I'm not going to say don't talk to them, but I'm just saying make sure your elderly parents don't sign anything without you looking at it first. Number one, that's the worst part when they target the elderly. And they do here. There's certain parts of the valley that is predominantly retirement, and it's so sad. The second thing is if you do buy a home that doesn't have solar, make sure, and they're going to come knocking at your door because they get a list of people that just closed on the home and they go, run over there and, hey, you need solar. So you make sure that you've run the numbers, you've done your check. There are some tax credits. They always tell you got to hurry up because they're going away next year. Well, you know what happened? A couple years ago, it was only like a 15% rebate, and then it went up to 22%. So everybody that hurried up, lost out on some of the rebates. So just take your time when you're doing that decision, that conversation. Talk to not 1, not 2, but 3. Seriously, 3 different companies. Because let me tell you, when you go to sell your home, you're going to be pulling your hair out. We were able to negotiate because that's how great we are. We had an amazing family that moved here from Alaska. They were foster parents. They had amazing children that they were giving a fantastic life with. They had a certain budget. Now, although the home worked for them, the solar panels did not. So one of the conditions of our amazing offer was the seller had to pay it off. They weren't real happy. We got the deal closed and that family is enjoying a nice, cool home and someone else paid for their solar.
All I do is win, no matter what.
Look, if you are looking for fantastic representation, if you are looking for relocation experts, you need to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, days, nights, or weekends. We got you back when moving to Phoenix, Arizona. Don't hesitate. Call today. Make sure you call us, please. Can't wait to hear from you. All right. We love your questions too, by the way. Make comments below. Bye.